I'm glad that you pieced it all together. That all makes a lot of sense now. And I'm really glad I stuck along with you for all of that. Thank you. Thank you.
You like how I started there at the end?
Yeah.
Made it to the climax, brought it back to the beginning, and then in true directorial fashion, had a good finish there. All right,
we call that the denouement.
Yes. I'm a big fan of Christopher Nolan, so I was trying to channel my inner for Chris Nolan. You know, my inner Chris Nolan. Let's go on to our. And here,
you know how I got these scars?
Helmut Marko. You know how I got this lazy eye?
My father was a drunk and a fiend.
My boss was a power-hungry Brit.
Where's Mackey's?
Where's Yuki?
Speaking of getting the party started.
For the victory lap, though. They ain't never seen nothing like this before. Lit the room when I came through the front door. Ask me if I stress overcome, what for? Train in the trees, please pardon my sycamore. Touch burning sands, cross lands, and stormy shore seasons in the year, yeah. Switch gears, we keeping haters in the rear. At the blood, sweat, and tears, and my goal so near. I see my victory so clear. I see my victory so clear. And today, we break through. 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 And today, we break through.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into episode 91 of the Sean and Shook podcast. Record scratch there, Nick, in post. It's episode 91 of the Gridiron Podcast. The Sean and Shook Podcast is just what the predecessor of this podcast was called when it was just Nick and I screwing around for a weekly podcast. And that's what we're going to do this time around because I'm Sean Barie, he's Nick Shook if you're watching on Twitch or YouTube, and our third co-host, Katie Caldwell, is off today because she's doing quote-unquote Canadian things again.
Canadian things. I mean, I'm not going to out her for what she's really doing, right? We're not going to out
Canadian
her for that,
things.
right?
She's doing Canadian things, man. She's doing
exactly,
Canadian things.
I'm here. You call me the Bald Behemoth usually. I'm also here with a hat line on my head today. So that's
is it sunny in Cleveland? Were you getting a little suntan out there, Nick?
No, I was just beating the piss out of Rutgers on college football 26 with our Kent State Golden Flashes, and I always wear a Kent hat during the Twitch streams, and apparently it made a line in my head. So.
I mean, I can't tell, so because the light is just shining off your. I'm kidding. No, I can't see the line, so I think you're good, man. If you're new here, the Gridiron Podcast, the only podcast in the world that combines all the grit of Formula One and all the iron of American football. That's what we do here. We talk about Formula One, we talk about football. All three of us cover the NFL, and we just love genuinely Formula One, which just wrapped up. So we are going to swap things around this season, or this episode, I should say, talk about the NFL Week 15, recap that, because boy, is there a lot to recap from a crazy weekend in the NFL. We'll recap that, and then we will get to some viewer emails concerning the F1 world. David, we're going to read your email, because he was kind enough to email the Gridiron Podcast and ask about Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari and that kind of tumultuous relationship. We've also got a former Red Bull. What was Helmut Marko exactly, Nick? Wasn't he like director of young driver talent or something like that?
I don't even. I don't know exactly what it was. Old guy employed.
Yeah,
That's
we've got real life Bond villain and Emperor Palpatine lookalike Helmut Marko on his way out, just torching his former employer while he does that. So we love a scolding cup of tea in the F1 world. We're going to get into all of it. By the way, if you would like to email us, you can do so by emailing the Gridiron Podcast at the Gridiron Podcast 3. That's the Gridiron Podcast number 3.
Damn those other two.
Thank you, Nick. Jeez.
I'm
at
trying to
gmail.com.
I'm trying to find what Helmut Marko's title was, and then I got distracted by his Wikipedia summary.
We're also on social media on Instagram at Gridiron Pod. That's on IG at Gridiron Pod. And then we are on TikTok at, is it the.gridiron.podcast?
Yeah, there you go. Nailed it.
So the
YouTube.
Gridiron Podcast with a period in between the 3 words.
Hey, you know what I noticed? And this has actually become pervasive even in more professional settings. You know how when you like turn things into an acronym, like rest in peace is RIP?
Yeah.
People who don't understand basic grammar fail to put a period after the last letter. I am now seeing that in like corporate settings, which
Ooh,
proves that we're all getting dumber. But in this situation, it's the period gridiron period podcast, no period at the end, because this is not an acronym. It's just a weird handle.
I don't know where you stand on this, but like when I'm sending an email, if it's to a person that I know and that I converse with a lot, I will use, incomplete sentences. I will say, just following up.
Oh.
I'll do that. But if it's to somebody, if I'm asking, hey, can I cover this story? Or if it's a actual professional email that I'm asking to do something or RSVPing to something, I write in complete sentences with proper grammar. Thank you very much.
You know what's funny, and this is very inside baseball, but during my time working on the production side of TV, I came to find that people who are on TV forget how to write in complete sentences. Like that when they write
100%.
they turn their scripts into stories. That's what I was dealing with back then to put them online. And it'd just be fragments. The whole time it would just be fragments. I'm like, can you just make these into sentences? I understand you're writing so that you can read it on TV, or you can read it when you're doing a VO, but like, turn it into sentences, for God's sake. It's not that hard.
-5 points from Gryffindor Nick for using journalism jargon, VO. That's voice on tape, by the way, or voice over.
Yes, voice
over.
Yeah,
voice over. SOT is sound on tape. I'm trying to remember because I say these acronyms
and
50 million times. VOSOT. Oh gosh, I get interns
voiceover sound on tape.
I get interns like, "What's a VOSOT?" I'm like, "Ooh, this might not be for you. You're a senior, right?" More on our journalism careers later on in the Sean and Shook podcast. I'm kidding. Episode 91 of the Gridiron Podcast. Nick, let's get into some NFL talk because you are our NFL.com resident talent writer. Great name. Were you on last night? Was there some late night Shook that I didn't see?
Yeah, what the hell, guys? Like, Katie's not here, so I'm just going to take you to task. Where's my support from the Gridiron Pod? Nothing?
I didn't even. Did you even like put it on your IG story?
We were live. No, I didn't. We were live. We were live on the NFL YouTube channel, not just NFL Daily, the NFL YouTube channel. And my two pals, my two cohorts, weren't there to support.
I am sorry, Nick. I will tell you, though, I pretty much got home after watching the game at the local watering hole and kind of went right to bed.
Well, it was your team, so I understand.
It was my team. Go Steelers. They're starting to look a little bit better. Let's start there.
Why not? Just kidding. Let's not start there.
No,
Sean, the biggest story from the weekend, the bell tolls to inform the villagers. The
Dracula is dead.
The king is
dead.
King.
Right, yes. The kingdom has crumbled. Which kingdom, Nick?
The Chiefs' kingdom, which is, it should be chiefdom, but let's not even get into that.
The Kansas City Chiefs lose 16-13 to the Los Angeles Chargers and are officially eliminated from playoff contention, which feels like a sentence I did not think I would be saying this season, Nick. Alas, here we are. After 10 straight postseason appearances, 7 straight AFC title game appearances, and 3 straight Super Bowl appearances, the Kansas City Chiefs are heading to Cancun early.
They didn't even go out with that with a fight. They went out with a whimper.
Not
thud.
with a bang, but with a whimper.
And to make matters worse, Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL in the final minute of the game.
Yeah.
I don't ever celebrate anybody's failure as a team. But it does feel like the end of an era, or at least a signal of change coming for the Chiefs, starting with the fact that their quarterback is facing a 9+ month road to recovery. And
where would that put us?
So 9 months from now would ideally put you at about September 14th, 13th, which would be like week 2 of the NFL regular season. But I would like to point out, because I had all these people coming at me when we talked about this on NFL Daily on Sunday. I was like, he's going to miss a significant portion of the season. No, he'll be back by like week 2, man. That's like nothing. Kyler Murray tore his ACL on almost the exact same date in 2022. He did not come until after the midway point of the season, come back from that ACL injury. He did not feel like himself until a year later. This is not some simulate 9 months in Madden and suddenly you get the same player back. This is going to take time, and Mahomes, whose mobility is such a big part of his game, it's going to take some time for him to be like himself again. So it's significant for the Chiefs in more ways than the fact that they missed the playoffs. They are going to be facing, starting next season, without their superstar quarterback and the guy who drives everything for them.
This almost feels like in the NBA, losing Halliburton for the Pacers. In the NBA finals.
Yeah.
You bet it all on black, and now here you are. It's a bust, and it's just Yeah, I mean, I'm not celebrating the downfall of the Chiefs, but it is. I feel
it's
like
refreshing
a monumental.
to know that they're not going to be in the playoffs, and I can actually cover a different team out of the AFC for once.
You know how long we said, the AFC hasn't been represented in the Super Bowl by a Peyton Manning, a Ben Roethlisberger, or Tom Brady, and now that's moved on to a Peyton Manning, a Patrick Mahomes, a Tom Brady, or a Ben Roethlisberger since 2007, which insane to think of.
We had that 1 year of Joe Burrow.
The Chiefs have been. Oh, that's true. We did have that 1 year.
Sean, I've covered 5 Super Bowls in my career.
Yeah.
Only one has not included the Chiefs. Only one. And that was Bengals-Rams 2021 season. Like,
we were there for their first
crazy.
Super Bowl. Nick, when you went back, let's go back to Miami, Super Bowl 54, okay? Both of us are definitely not hungover still at the game.
Totally.
Huh?
Totally.
Couldn't be us.
Totally not hungover.
Couldn't be us. Couldn't be us. And we watched the Chiefs win their first Super Bowl in 50 years. Patrick Mahomes' first of 3 Super Bowl titles. Did you think back then that this would turn into the kind of dynasty it did in Kansas City?
I mean, they were good, but like we hadn't had a dynasty since the Patriots, and we had enough variety and it's really hard to get back there. Like, it's really hard to win one and even make the playoffs the next year. There's a lot, and it's really hard to lose one and make the playoffs the next year. There's been a number of examples where teams reach the mountaintop or flirt with the mountaintop and then fall right back to the base of the mountain the next year. Not only did the Chiefs not do that, they were in contention every year. They were in the AFC Championship game every year. The Bengals beating them to go to the Super Bowl was like a massive accomplishment, not just because they got to the Super Bowl, but because they felled Goliath. So, no, I didn't expect that at all. And that's just kind of proves how, I think people push back on the whole like dynasty thing with them. Yeah, they were a dynasty, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like, I don't care if they only got 3 rings out of it, which is a lot, by the way. They were in the conference championship game for almost an entire decade. Okay, that's like LeBron's 8 straight finals runs. Okay, like that's it might be unprecedented now that I think about it. This was a dynasty, and it is no longer a dynasty. This team will not be in the playoffs. Like, I'm imagining this is this weird, bizarro world in which I'm going to the playoffs and thinking, well, you can't count the Chiefs out. They're literally eliminated. I can count them out because they are out.
They are. And you look at, I don't even know who would question if this is a dynasty or not, because you look at a 10-year span in which the Kansas City Chiefs played in 5 Super Bowls and won 3 of them. If we still count the old Steel Curtain days, the Super Steelers back in the 70s with Chuck Noll and Terry Bradshaw, I mean, they won 4 Super Bowls in a 10-year span, but they only went to 4 Super Bowls. The Kansas City Chiefs went to 1 more. This is absolutely one of the best 10-year runs in NFL history. The only thing that we keep...
And it's really like 6 years, 7 years.
We're kind of almost spoiled, too, because we watched the Patriots do it for 20 years.
Yes,
right?
but they had their down years. They had
exactly.
They went 3 out of 4. Then they were down again until they went back when they went 16-0 in 2007, and then they lost again to the Giants 2 years after that. Like, they had years where they didn't. I mean, they only missed the playoffs once in that span. That was the year that Brady got hurt in Week 1 and Matt Castle was their quarterback. So they were always there. You're right.
I don't know if the
The
Patriots.
same.
No, I don't know if the Patriots ever felt as inevitable as the Patrick Mahomes Kansas City Chiefs has felt over the last couple of years.
And I think that's what leads us to the defining statement about this team this year, which is that they were so inevitable because when it came down to winning time, when they needed to make magic, they always pulled the rabbit out of the hat. Mm-hmm. Always. They were the best at doing it. That's why it felt like it was only a matter of time until they were going to win. They won the Super Bowl against the Eagles. They won that on the final drive with a great run by Mahomes, who was dealing with a bad toe. They won the Super Bowl over the Niners in overtime. They won their first Super Bowl over the Niners with a frantic fourth quarter comeback. They lost, they only lost, the Super Bowls they lost were in
Sammy
lopsided
Watkins
fashion.
Super Bowl.
Lopsided fashion. The Buccaneers game, which they were dominated by a good defense and dominated by the Eagles defense. But they always made magic. They erased, I think it was a 20 or 21 point deficit against the Texans in the playoffs one year. They always found ways to get it done. 13 seconds, Buffalo Bills, where they had to go down the field to kick the game-tying field goal to go to overtime and win that game. It was always the clutch moments. Mahomes was always making the plays. Kelsey was making the plays. Whoever it was. They didn't do that at all this year.
No.
The reason that they won all those games last year, where they go 15-2 and reached the Super Bowl last year when their offensive numbers were worse.
And I think 11-0 in one-score games.
One-score games. They couldn't win the one-score games this year. They lost another one on Sunday, and it was just, it typified their entire season, which is that when it came down to it, they could not finish the job. And to make matters worse, they lose their quarterback on that drive. I hate that he got hurt. I think it's bad for the sport. It's obviously bad for him. but it was fitting for how this season went. Unfortunately, it was like the crushing blow to just cap an incredibly frustrating, disappointing season for them.
You know what this feels like to me? It feels like, what year was that? 2008, when Matt Castle had to quarterback the New England Patriots because Tom Brady got injured. Earlier in the season, obviously, not later in the season like Patrick Mahomes did. Yeah. So you knew, hey guys, Tom's not in it this year. Patrick Mahomes isn't in it this year. Every single team that is in the playoffs now in the AFC is looking at that going, we might have a chance this year. The Chiefs aren't in it. There's no Andy Reid. There's
Who
no
won the
Travis
Super Bowl
Kelce.
that year, Sean?
That would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm just saying, man. No, I'm not saying at all. But it does kind of feel like that, where it is wide open in the AFC. And it truthfully is. I mean, you've got Denver. You've got Los Angeles. Someone's going to come out of the AFC North. I don't think anyone's going to make noise. The Patriots, they're young. And then, of course, as soon as Patrick Mahomes went down and the Chiefs were eliminated in the span of 10 minutes, I knew the narrative was going to start. Is this the Bills' year? Can Josh Allen doesn't have to go through Kansas City? Josh Allen doesn't have to go through Kansas City. Can the Bills do it this
weeks
year?
ago.
Oh my gosh!
It started weeks ago.
Which, yes, this could be the Bills' year. It absolutely could be, because it took forever. I mean, yeah, the Steelers won it in 2006 with Ben Roethlisberger. Guess what? They did not have to go through the Patriots that year. And then the other year they won it with Ben Roethlisberger and Mike Tomlin. They did not have to go through the Patriots. Sometimes there is the boogeyman, and when he's not there, the door is wide open for a championship run, which I do think it is for the Bills, but can we just knock it off a little bit? Because the Denver Broncos have something to say. The New England Patriots have something to say. Pittsburgh Steelers.
Don't do that. Don't do that. You still got to win your division, and I don't know if that's going to happen.
Just need one more win. Just one more.
So yeah, and who do you play next week? The Detroit Lions. I think that while you're absolutely right, that now seems to be the Bills' time. They don't have to, exercise that demon. That demon took care of itself. I also think it adds a bit of pressure to the idea that, like, oh my God, now is the, and again, cross-sport comparison, I go back to the NBA. Like, they lost, the Eastern Conference lost Tyrese Halliburton. They lost Jason Tatum. Damian Lillard got hurt and then got traded. Like, there's a number of key players who are missing this season. And I think about the Cavs. The runway is open for the Cavs. Yeah. They freaking suck right now. They have a winning record, but they cannot put it together right now. The pressure, opportunity is great, but with it comes pressure to get the job done. So we'll see if the Bills can get the job done. They are playing good football, and they did have a hell of a win on the road over their division foes, the New England Patriots, this weekend. A great second-half comeback. Outscored the Patriots 28-7 in a game that looked like they were probably going to lose. They were down 24-7 in that game at halftime. They come back and win 35-31. I mean, hell of a performance by the Bills. And again, the key, their defense is playing. It played great in the second half.
In the second half, yeah.
The key is leaning on James Cook.
And that's why I say that the AFC is wide open, because and to your point, I think this does add pressure to the Bills, because, hey, you have to get it done this year, because Denver's not going anywhere. They're young. The Chargers aren't going anywhere. Their offensive line's going to be healthy next season. The Patriots are clearly on the rise with Mike Vrabel. Like, the Chiefs might not be back next year, but they might be back in 2 years. So your window is open, but it's still not it's not going to be open for long. So get it done, Bills. The other thing I wanted to bring up for Week 15 was, obviously, you had the injury to Patrick Mahomes. Some other high-profile injuries as well. T.J. Watt had a deflated lung thanks to some dry needling.
Yep.
So that's great. Don't know how long he's going to be out. Steelers, I think that was just their second win ever without T.J. Watt while he's been on that team since he was drafted last night on Monday Night Football. You also have Micah Parsons. He also tore his ACL. So what's the Green Bay defense going to look like? And then Devontae Adams. Did we ever figure out how severe that hamstring injury was that he left?
They're leaving it open for him to play this weekend.
Okay. All right. So it's kind of like one of those.
I wouldn't play him, but they are playing the Seahawks, so it's kind of important.
So it's kind of one of those Mike Evans hamstring injuries. Like, he might be back or he might be out 4 weeks. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, they're playing coy. They're leaving the option open, so that makes the Seahawks prepare to face him, I suppose. I would be shocked if he did play. I think it would be smart to not play him.
I think the Rams can win that division without him right now, and you obviously want to because of the Seahawks. You don't want to go on the road. You don't want to be a 12, 13 win team and go on the road and come to frickin' either at this point Tampa or Charlotte. Like that's just that's so stupid. You're coming out east, which statistically speaking, West Coast teams that when they do come out east, they do a lot better than when East Coast teams go out west. Time difference whatsoever.
It's strange that when you advance the clock, somehow you still perform well as opposed to gaining time. Let's talk about the Buccaneers real quick.
Oh, good Lord.
Their loss was days ago. They lost on Thursday night, collapsed against the Falcons, a team that has very little to play for other than their coach's job. Todd Bowles was so pissed off that he cussed more in one response that I've heard him cuss combined ever in front of a microphone. Like, we obviously can't play the sound here, but like, holy hell, dude. Like that, if anything told me the Bucs are in a bad place, it's how many F-bombs Todd Bowles, delivered in one response. Were you in the room when that happened?
No, I wasn't. I was actually outside. I was out of because we get the podium from the Fox feed. So we get Baker Mayfield and Todd Bowles from the Fox feed. I go into the locker room. So I'm going into the locker room with our other reporter, Mark, and we're standing outside because they have to wait for Todd Bowles to go in, Baker Mayfield to talk. They're doing their stuff, and it's taking longer than normal for obvious reasons. But then we start to see Todd Bowles' tirade, if you want to call it, pop up on Twitter, and everyone's kind of like, yo, Todd Bowles is in there dropping F-bombs right now. And we all have like our phones like held up to our ears, and we just hear him dropping F this, F that, S this. I don't normally cuss this much, but this is how I feel. I'm like, ooh, this is going to be interesting. Nick, when I tell you, and I texted you guys this, I have seen more cheerful funerals than when I walked into that locker room after the Bucs lost on Thursday Night Football to the Falcons. You could hear a pin drop. People looked like they had just watched their dog get like run over. Like the energy in that locker room was like sucked out. Everyone was so quiet. The cursing didn't stop there either. I mean, Tristan Wirfs, he's always very candid and known to drop a curse word or two, but it was just... And, of course, I'm talking to the center, Graham Barton, and, we ask him, you got 3 games left. You got 2 games against the Panthers. And he's like, I don't care who we got or what our schedule is like. Like, we have to fix this before we even think about who we're playing next. You're winning 28-14 with, 10 minutes to go in the game, and you lose in regulation.
And you lost a game in which the Falcons went for 2 twice, failed both times, and you gave them another opportunity, and they went down and kicked the game-winning field goal. Like, even when you thought you'd grab victories from the jaws of defeat, you somehow reverse the order and place it back into the jaws of defeat. Like, Baker throws a pick that opens the door for them to even think about coming back. I thought that game was over. Yep. When they hit that 2-point conversion to Chris Godwin, I thought it was over. Look at them. All right, they're starting to figure it out again. Having Mike Evans back is a big boost. Bucky Irving, Chris Godwin, the band's back together. Nope. They can't. I don't know what it is about Todd Bowles, but he brings the best out of Kirk Cousins.
You want to talk about a boogeyman. That is who Buccaneers fans check under their bed and in their closets for at night, because Kirk Cousins has absolutely just annihilated them over the past 2 seasons. 2 wins last year. I think he threw for a combined 900 and some yards. I think in the past, he has over 1,100 passing yards, 10 or 11 touchdowns, and 1 interception over the past 3 games he's played. Obviously, he didn't play week 1 because it was Michael Penix.
He threw for 373 and 3 touchdowns in this game.
And then Kyle Pitts has a career game against the Bucs.
11
Falcons fans
catches.
are like, finally, it was just... The collapse of the Buccaneers on Thursday night. I really didn't believe what I was seeing. I was seated next to one of the other reporters in town who grew up in Atlanta and is a Falcons fan. And obviously, you're not allowed to openly cheer in the press box. He wasn't openly cheering. He was openly jeering his team, I would say. But he couldn't believe what he was watching, and he's a Falcons fan. I mean, it was just, oh, man. And that interception from Baker, that was just a horrible throw. Baker Mayfield right now, I know we were talking about him for MVP odds back at the early part of the season, but he looks...
long gone.
Oh, so long gone. He looks frantic in the pocket. I know the offensive line right now isn't playing its great. They're still banged up. No Cody Mauch, no Ben Bredesen. Baker Mayfield is playing frantic, and it looks... I mean, I know it's a similar situation. He has a non-throwing shoulder injury. It's not as severe as the AC joint tear he had in Cleveland that he played on. But here's Baker Mayfield again.
He had a labrum tear that year.
I thought he also had a.
I think it was both. But
Yeah, I mean, he needed surgery. He doesn't need surgery this time around, at least he said. But yeah, he's playing hurt. It's his non-throwing shoulder. Like the comparisons are eerily similar because now he's kind of reverting back to that. I hate to say it, Cleveland Baker.
Yeah, I honestly liken all of this. Well, first off, that pick was actually a product of them relying on the speed out against soft coverage the entire game, and then D. Alford, veteran defender, baits him into it and just makes the pick. The Falcons had adjusted in time for that to happen after getting cooked all night against it. And the other thing, though, I think was it feels a lot. I hate to say this, but it kind of feels a lot like the Eagles from 2 years ago. Like the way that they're just struggling to do anything right, and they're losing close games, and they just can't finish games. The offensive struggles are not like the Eagles of 2 years ago, but just like the inability to finish games and the inability to be the team that you thought they were. I mean, yeah, they got blasted by the Rams. They lost to the Bills. They lost that. Where it really all started was the Patriots game back in Week 10. Mm-hmm. Since then, you lose to the Saints 24-20. You let them come back in the fourth quarter. Then you let the Falcons come back inside the last 10 minutes of the fourth quarter. And now you had your last 3 games against Carolina, who also fumbled away an opportunity to take a lead in the division.
We can talk about who wants to win the AFC North, who wants to win the NFC South, because right now the Panthers and Bucs are battling.
Nobody. So, yeah, it's ugly there. I don't even like to talk about the division right now because I think neither team is playoff worthy, but one of them's going to get in. We could go back to the Steelers real quick, though, because I could kind of say the same thing about them and the Ravens, except Steelers have played good football over the last 2 weeks. Now, one of those wins was over the Ravens. The other one was over a team that's not the Ravens, the Miami Dolphins, who notoriously quit when the weather's not good. They quit against the Browns in Cleveland when it was rainy and gross in like week 7, and they laid down after at least hitting defensively in the first half and couldn't do a damn thing offensively. I don't want to dive into the whole what does this mean for Tua because I think we've already covered that enough. But
I just want to say, so Nick, you're from Cleveland, I'm from Pittsburgh. We grew up in the cold. When it's snowing outside, are you, as a kid, you're excited to go outside, right? You play football in the snow with your friends out in the backyard, right? Like we did that in college as well. The Dolphins landed Saturday night in Pittsburgh in the middle of a snowstorm. I'm actually surprised that, they dumped like 7 inches of snow on the city. So I'm surprised they even got there. They immediately leave the airport, drive like 15 minutes away to go to Robert Morris University and practice in the snow. And they've got no sleeves on. They're like, this is nothing, yada, yada, yada. And I'm thinking, this is the fun stuff. Nobody's upset when you have to play in the snow. It's fun. You feel like a kid again. What sucks is when it's 8 degrees outside or 17 degrees outside with a wind chill of 5 degrees, which it was on Monday night. And then Tua, of course, was asked about the weather because the Dolphins 0-12 all time when kickoff is below 40 degrees. And he said, it's just the weather. They got to play in it too. Yeah, about that. Where was all that energy when, it's not snowing, but it's 10 degrees outside?
It was with their defense. It was with their defense.
Yeah, in the first quarter, I will say, I kind of was a little nervous. Like, ooh, the Dolphins came out swinging. Steelers defense bend, not break, and their offense really isn't working for the Steelers at all. I'm thinking, this game might be a toss-up. But then, Nick, 4 straight touchdown drives for the Steelers. I don't know how closely you were paying attention to the broadcast last night. Do you know the last time the Steelers scored on 4 straight drives? Touchdown drives.
I had this in my notes.
It was 7 years ago.
Yeah, and
7 freaking years.
Yeah, and there was another stat that Rodgers completed the most passes over the middle, highest completion percentage on passes over the middle since 2016. Like there were some weird outliers in this game because despite the final score being 28-15, it was a blowout. It was much more like 28-3.
The Steelers defense coasted in the fourth quarter. Yeah. And I was at a bar and the owner's a Pittsburgh fan. He's playing Renegade and still in the third quarter. I'm like,
they want to Steelers fans want to play Renegade again.
He's playing black and yellow.
3 weeks ago, we're done playing Renegade. We're booing Mike Tomlin. We want to fire our coach. And just kidding.
He's like, can they just not let them score? I'm like, dude, this game's wrapped up. I was like, they're just trying not to get hurt. They're like, game's over. They're coasting toward the end. You're right. The Steelers are playing better football over the last 2 weeks after getting embarrassed by the Bills.
I'm going to say 2 things.
Refocused.
I'm going to say 2 things here, and I think you're right. They do look refocused. But the 2 things I'll say is that Miami is not a measuring stick, and don't get overconfident in your team. But Aaron Rodgers is actually playing good football, and that's the important part. He's getting the ball out quickly. He's not letting the pass rush get after him. He's still pissed off at most of his receivers, but he's playing good football. And the MVS edition produces a touchdown. I mean, MVS is not a guy you want to lean on in a clutch spot, but Rodgers just looks more like the guy that you hoped you were going to get. He's had probably his 2 best games as a Steeler in the last 2 weeks. So that is encouraging. I don't know if I can count on the rest of this to hold up, but I love Kenny Gainwell.
Oh, do I love Kenny Gainwell, man.
Oh, I love Kenny Gainwell.
Dude.
And I love that
pickup.
Rodgers will dump the ball off to him and he'll make plays. So, like, the problem is that the Steelers probably only have, like, one way to win, but they've done it over the last 2 weeks. So their remaining schedule is Detroit, Cleveland, Baltimore. Now,
you need 1 win of 3 games.
You'll beat the Browns, so congratulations.
It's in Cleveland. I don't have that much hope. I can just picture Shedeur Sanders having a career game that day for some reason.
No, I can picture the Steelers blitzing him relentlessly and Shedeur having no idea what to do.
Look, you don't have to tell me, don't get overconfident in my team. I'm not. I came on here 2 weeks ago and said I just feel
such a gross playoff team, though. Like, ugh.
Apathetic. You know what? Like, that's just, I am... But it is fun to see this team starting to play its best football in December. That's when you want to see them playing good football. No TJ Watt, as I said earlier, just the second win since they drafted him that they've had without him that they've won. Guys stepped up. They got after Tua in different ways last night. And I think they're playing really good football right now. That being said, the Ravens responded to their loss to the Steelers by just kicking the crap out of the Bengals, but that was obviously a terrible day for Joe Burrow, where he said if he would have lost for all 32 teams that day. So the Ravens have unfortunately put themselves in a situation where the Steelers only need to win 1 game over the final 3 weeks to win the division. So that Week 18 game, praying to sweet baby Jesus, hopefully does not matter.
I hope it does. Not because I want the Browns to win another game, because I don't, but I would love it for it to matter.
I know. You want me sweating. You do. I know.
Oh, yeah.
You are a sick MFer.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't take this whole, I'm apathetic about the Steelers. Fire Mike Tomlin.
I didn't say fire Mike Tomlin. I never said fire Mike Tomlin.
A lot of Steeler fans did.
Yeah, they did. I was here saying if there is, all I said was it might be a time. You need to look at this stuff, but then you also need to evaluate the entire body of the season.
They're in the playoffs. They're playing good football. Mike Tomlin's the best.
That's
why I want you to sweat, because I can't stand how fickle Steeler fans are.
Seriously, 1 more win, beat the Browns, lose to the Lions, because that's going to happen. Beat the Browns. All of a sudden, you're 9-7, or what would you be at that point? Yeah, 9-7. You'd be 9-7, and then, throw in Mason Rudolph there, Week 18. Division's already wrapped up. 9-8. Nobody celebrates 9-8 like Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, baby.
Yeah, it's gross. It's as gross as what's going on in the NFC South.
It is gross. And then who would that be? Could be the Bills. Could be the Patriots coming to town. Whoop-de-doo.
I realize you're at the center of the 2 grossest experiences in the NFL, Sean.
I am. Buccaneers and Steelers?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty gross right now, man.
Gross. Take a shower.
We're going through it. I should. I have not showered yet today. I needed to tell you that.
I did not need to know that.
Speaking of teams that are getting hot, Nick, we kind of mentioned them already. The Bills. Okay? I like that they kind of have a little bit of moxie to them right now. Like you said, they were getting blown out in the first half against the Patriots. They could have been like, all right, packing it in. But the division is still open. The Patriots needed to win to clinch the division, and the division is still open for the Bills.
Yeah, and they're going to beat the Browns this week, and then the test comes down to the Eagles game, and if it was up to me, I would probably think they're going to win that game too. I don't know. We put them on fraud watch, and then they blast the Bengals. They beat the Bengals. That was a crazy game. They came back in.
Bucks, Bengals, Patriots. Man. They've had good wins over the past couple of weeks.
Josh Allen's playing good football, and now I'm hearing the whole name him MVP, and it's like, oh, you forgot the whole first half of the season. Thanks, guys. I don't know. I'm not a hater.
You sound like a hater.
They're going to be in the playoffs. I can't be the guy who's like, oh, I believe in the Bills. I've been burned too many times before by that. But yeah, they're playing good football right now.
Speaking of believing, let me ask you a question. This is not on the docket. I just want to ask you this. Who do you believe in more in the AFC? The Texans or the Jags?
Oh, that's a good question.
Liam Cohen. A lot of Bucs fans right now down here saying should have fired Todd Bowles last year and promoted Liam Cohen. But hindsight's 2020.
This is why I hate fans. This is why I hate fans so much sometimes, because they say dumb stuff like that. That was never going to happen. Never going to happen. That's tough because Trevor Lawrence is balling, dude. But, I mean, Houston has the best defense in the NFL that can make anybody look pedestrian offensively. I wish they played again. The 2 games they played, I don't think were good examples of this matchup.
Are both in the playoff picture now?
The Texans are 9-5. Texans are the 7 seed, Jags are the 3 seed, so yeah.
Okay.
And I hope to God that somehow we get a Jags-Texans playoff matchup on Wild Card Weekend. I would love that. But I didn't answer that question.
I mean,
I'm gonna go with Houston. I'm gonna go with Houston. That defense is just so good. Like, if I had to take them on a neutral field right now, I would take Houston because they can do enough offensively, and their defense will limit any offense.
I don't, not to be boring, but I agree with you completely because defense travels. That's the one thing everybody says about football. Defense travels. So it is a scary, scary defense right now. Yeah, I'm going to go with them. So basically, we are looking at Ravens.
The races are basically wrapped up, dude.
Yeah, pretty much. I think we have the playoffs here in the AFC. All that's going to happen is jostling. If the Steelers fumble this division, they're out. I don't think the Colts are going to make it. Phillip Rivers, I mean, golf clap for you, Peepaw. You had the Colts in a position to win at the end, but it's just
18 of 27 for 120, a touchdown and a pick.
My question,
2 good throws.
So Anthony Richardson has officially been activated off IR, and they're like, "Yeah, we're going to take some time to bring him back to speed." He had a broken eye bone. He had a broken face bone. Yeah. Was he not? Can you not work out while that happens? Like,
I don't know.
Like,
I mean, he was on that.
No,
I'll tell you what it is. The Colts don't want to play him.
Yeah, no, they don't.
They have no desire to play him.
Not at all. That's what I'm trying to hint at. Is like you are going with a 44-year-old Phillip Rivers in a playoff. Right? Like
Steichen would rather play Phillip Rivers than Anthony Richardson. Dead serious.
I'm sorry.
That with 100% confidence.
Colts fans, your season's over. So that being said, the last playoff spot's either going to the Steelers or the Ravens. Right now, the Steelers just need one more win, and then we're just jostling for a position between the Chargers. Well, no, so the Broncos already wrapped up their division. So you know what? If I'm a Steelers fan, I want to see. Ooh,
God, I would love it.
I want to see the Jags. I would want to see the Jags.
I don't think you do.
Well, if my options are the Jags, the Chargers, or the Bills, it's either between the Jags and Chargers.
Well, the Texans are currently the wild card team. The Jags are the division leader. You wouldn't see. Well, I guess you could see them, but
it's possible.
Division winners.
Everyone here has 10 wins. The 3 teams I just mentioned have 10 wins. Okay, I'm just thinking about where they could land if the Chargers end up.
Well, no, because like wild card weekend is division winner versus wild card team. So like you're looking at Chargers, Bills, Texans right now. Those are your options, and you're really looking at the Chargers.
The Texans could win the South. It's possible.
They could, but I'm saying as it stands right now, you don't want the Jags. You want the team you're not going to get. You want the Patriots. You're not going to get them unless the Bills win. Oh,
you know what? Yeah, you're right. No, I want the Jags because nothing bad has ever happened in Pittsburgh Steelers playoff history when we played the Jacksonville Jaguars. Nothing. Can't think of one thing bad that's ever happened when the Steelers have played the Jags in the playoffs.
We have a Broncos fan in the chat. It's Godson. Yeah, I'm going to go blow right past Saxonville and Blake Bortles taking down the Steelers in the divisional round. Because that Jags team should have gone to the Super Bowl. Damn it.
They should have.
And I prefer to not think about that.
Avenge us.
Former Jaguar, Jalen Ramsey?
Yeah, exactly.
So we have some people in the chat right now. Godson, noted Broncos fan, said, "We want the Steelers in the playoffs to make our respective paths to the Super Bowl as easy as possible." Accurate.
Touche. But you know what? I just want to say there wasn't a single Steelers fan that thought that they were going to lose that wild card game to Tim Tebow, and there isn't a single Broncos fan that thinks they're going to lose a wild card game or a divisional round game.
I remember where I was.
The Steelers. I'm just saying, history has a funny way of repeating itself, so be careful what you ask for.
Was it Demaryius Thomas, the late Demaryius Thomas, that caught the touchdown pass from Tim Tebow?
First play
I
of
remember
overtime.
exactly where I was. I was in my living room on 802 DePeister Street in Kent, Ohio, sitting next to two Steeler fans. And neither of them were you.
No, I was in my dorm room
I was drinking your tears.
crying into my terrible towel.
Yeah. Because you got beat by Tim Tebow. Also, Papa Popper got in here and said, I'm back. I would say I'm sorry for being late, but since Katie ain't here, then I would be lying.
I like that.
I appreciate
like,
that.
yeah,
We appreciate you, both of you.
We're
being
only here
here
for
right now.
Katie, too. Anything else from the NFL, Nick?
No,
We can
let's get
switch
the hell
on
out of the
All
NFL.
right, let's
Let's
shift
get the hell out.
gears to Formula One. And we're going to start off with a viewer email. No, you know what? Do you want to start with Helmut Marko? No, let's start with the viewer email or the listener email.
Okay. Actually, I feel like that's a better way to finish. What's the
All
email
right.
about?
Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari. Let's start with Helmut Marko because that's actually more topical right
News
now.
at the top.
Yes. So last week we reported that Helmut Marko was officially out at Red Bull after I don't know how long with the team, probably millennium because he looks like he's 1,000 years old. And he's not been very kind to his old team on his way out because he did an interview and he said, quote, he was talking about Christian Horner and just how they were butting heads there at the end. And then obviously Christian Horner got fired in the first half of the season after Red Bull was just terrible on track. They were slow. They were off the pace. Max was 100 and some points behind McLaren and obviously had the comeback he did once Horner got fired and Lauren Mekies moved over from Racing Bulls. So when he was asked, Helmut Marko, when he was asked about Christian Horner, he said, quote, and if we had done it, aka fired Horner, earlier, we would have got things back on track sooner, and Max Verstappen would have been world champion this year. Oh. Had we fired Christian Horner sooner, Max Verstappen would have been world champion this year.
So this reads to me like two things, my initial reaction. First thing, big whataboutism here. Like big revisionist history here. Like, oh, well, he was the problem, scapegoating him. But also, like, even if that's valid, I would really love to know what was going on behind the scenes. Like, I want the tell-all. Like, how was he holding you back that significantly? I need to know if he was the problem, how was he such a problem? What was he doing behind the scenes that was just limiting you from making the progress that you eventually made? Because it was significant progress. It was more technical than anything, but it sounds like it was more than that. And if you're going to talk your talk, Helmut, tell us why. I want details, baby. I mean, if you're going to go out like gangbusters, just guns blazing, burn it all down, you're getting rid of me, tell us why. And also, when I was looking up his position, trying to find his title, which I didn't find.
So here's what Helmut Marko...
But I did find that Max, back in the whole Horner thing, said that like there was like an idea of Marko potentially leaving, and Max said if Marko would go, that he would go. So what changed there? That's what I want to know.
So he was giving an interview to a Dutch newspaper, go figure. And so this was kind of interesting. So Red Bull founder Dietrich Mateschitz... Yeah. So Marko said, together with Dietrich, I found Red Bull Racing 2005. We appointed Horner as team boss. I remember at a party in 2022 prior to the Austrian Grand Prix, Didi was there, but not in good health. Christian came up to me then and said, he won't make it to the end of the year. From that point on, he began cozying up to Charlem Udvidya. When Didi died later that year, he did everything he could to take over with Charlem. With Charlem's support. I did everything I could on behalf of Austria to prevent that. All right, so Helmut's probably taking a little bit of creative licensing here and trying to paint himself in a good light, Christian Horner in a bad light. Basically, Emperor Palpatine is like, no, it wasn't me. It was Darth Vader who did all the bad things. I was just an innocent bystander, an innocent old man. Okay, Helmut.
I am the sympathetic figure. I am the one who is
Marko.
saving the Empire.
Marko, you can sell that story in Holland because I ain't buying it here in Florida, buddy. I ain't buying it.
Go on.
Helmut Marko on the way out is basically scorched earth at this point. You know what, Nick, though? I kind of agree with him. I think had they made the change sooner, we would be talking about Max Verstappen.
I mean, because if the firing really did prompt all the improvements that they made on track, then yeah.
I think this just shows how much infighting and jostling for power there was behind the scenes at Red Bull. And I think the installation of Laurent Mekies, or the promotion from Racing Bulls to Red Bull, you had someone in Horner who was more interested in consolidating his power, and you brought someone in that was more interested in just getting results on track.
Yes.
I think that's exactly what happened. And in the end, Helmut Marko is still a casualty of that.
He is, and perhaps that's unfortunate from his perspective and maybe the perspective of others. Not from ours.
I'm not going to be sympathetic towards him at all.
Not from ours. Not from ours. But that is, I'm glad that you pieced that all together. That all makes a lot of sense now. And I'm really glad I stuck along with you for all of that. Thank you. Thank you.
You like how I started there at the end?
Eyes, yeah.
Made it to the climax, brought it back to the beginning, and then in true directorial fashion, had a good finish there. All right,
we call that the denouement.
Yes. I'm a big fan of Christopher Nolan, so I was trying to channel my inner for Chris Nolan. You know, my inner Chris Nolan. Let's go on to our. And here
you know how I got these scars?
Helmut Marko. You know how I got this lazy eye?
My father was a drunk and a fiend.
My boss was a power-hungry Brit.
Where's Mackey's?
Where's Yuki?
You're scum. You kill for bloody money.
He's in Red Bull second driver heaven now with everyone else. Moving on to our viewer email. This email comes, by the way, again, if you'd like to email us, we would love to hear from you, and we can read them out on air. We got one here from David, and David is very curious about Lewis Hamilton and his first season with Ferrari because, boy, was it anything but smooth.
David sent this email to the Gridiron Podcast 3. That's the Gridiron Podcast 3.
Damn those other two.
At gmail.com. Go ahead.
All right, so David writes, can we please have your thoughts on how bad Lewis has been this season with 0 podiums and Carlos Sainz having 3, with Williams, of course, now including a sprint podium. I know Ferrari isn't amazing this year, but Charles is getting on the podium, so you can't blame the car too much. I was giving Lewis slack at the beginning of the season, with it being a new team and engineer and all that, but he's had multiple Q1 exits and just is wildly inconsistent in that car. Hopefully, with reg changes, he can look like himself again. But I think at this point of his career, I would say Carlos is the better driver. He is a more competitive teammate with Charles, and it's not even close with Lewis. I think they have a 100-point differential. Nick, you want to see exactly how much? I know the head-to-head is wild. I think it was something like, in races, I think it was like 13-5 or something like that. 100-point differential in the driver standings now. Would love to hear your thoughts on an episode. Well, you're about to hear him, David.
100-point differential between Charles and Lewis?
Yeah, what was the fun?
242 to 156.
So close.
Yeah.
Close.
Carlos, 64.
Yes. Obviously, the Ferraris were going to beat the Williams this year, but he does have a good point. Carlos was able to leave Ferrari last year, join Williams this year, and you could see the excitement in his voice when he got that first podium. And then when they did it again, over the radio, he was like, this is just happiness. Like, he was just like, this is wonderful. This is happiness. He's in the pursuit of happiness. I don't know if I'm going to agree with you, David, and say at this point, Carlos is 100% the better driver than Lewis. It's still Lewis Hamilton. And I think they being Ferrari, need to kind of adapt to him a little bit more. And I think that's what we're seeing right now is Lewis joined, the prancing pony. And they don't care if you're a 7-8-time world champion. You are joining Ferrari. Ferrari is not joining you. I think, he does have a good point, though, Nick, because the second half of the season, all those Q1 exits, that was wild to see. And you can just see that the joy had kind of left Lewis, and he's kind of slowly realizing he's probably not going to get that 8th world title. Not a Ferrari, not ever. But he did deliver Ferrari their only win this season in China, and then they promptly got DQ'd.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
It was a sprint win, by the way.
It's a shitbox.
You can't say that. It's a Ferrari.
It's a shitbox. I think that we could point right to a topic that we've discussed at length in this show, which is Red Bull very much tailoring their car to Max Verstappen. Every second driver, Yuki Tsunoda, Liam Lawson, it's going to be Isaac Hadjar next year, Daniel Ricciardo, they all struggled in the car. The car that was good enough to, see Max win races and earn podiums. that alone can kind of tell you what I think happened with Ferrari. They had a driver who had been there for multiple years, had a better understanding of the car. They made some changes. They did or didn't work out, but he's got experience with their machinery. Lewis was a new addition. Over time, when you develop cars under the same set of regulations, you are tailoring it toward the driver that you have, which was Charles Leclerc. I think that as time passed, those tailoring efforts pushed more toward Charles than Lewis, and Lewis ended up looking a lot like he did in the Mercedes in the last year that he was there, in which they were starting to push more toward George Russell than Lewis. Now, you could look at that and say, well, is he just not a good driver anymore? I would beg to differ, and I point back to when he was at Mercedes and he won at Silverstone. He's still a hell of a driver. It's just that I think that when the car doesn't agree with your style and it gets worse and worse, it can be defeating. And I also believe that there weren't many efforts made to try to make significant changes to the car to help Lewis because new regs are coming. So I think we should withhold judgment on Lewis as a driver now. But if we get to like the midpoint of next season and he still sucks and the gap is still that big, then yeah, you can make that claim that maybe the game has passed him by. I won't make that claim right now.
I think you can also say that when you look at why Carlos was so much closer to Charles. Carlos is, look, I'm not taking anything away from Carlos Sainz. I think he's one of the best drivers in Formula One right now. He's definitely in the top half of the drivers on the grid. I think in the right equipment, I think he could win a world championship. I do. I think that highly of Carlos Sainz. I really do. I think he's been given kind of like a raw deal after a raw deal throughout his career. He gets fired from Renault, gets brought into McLaren, obviously was kind of the number one driver at McLaren with Lando being a rookie and a young driver through those first couple of years. And then, if you're given an opportunity to join Ferrari, now you might choose McLaren. But, a couple of years ago, you're obviously going to choose Ferrari. Every driver is going to choose Ferrari. It's Ferrari, okay? And to wear the red overalls is something special in this sport. And he was able to stay so close to Charles, A, because he is a really good driver. But B, these last regs were introduced, and he entered that with Charles. So he was always in the same car and had the kind of the same understanding of the car and these regulations that Charles did. Lewis did not. He was just new into this year, and you're right. Why spend all this money to try and make Lewis competitive? I think the season just kind of got overwhelming to him in the end. I think there was a lack, not a lack of effort, but just honestly, just a lack of joy, like I said, in this sport. So I don't think it's fair to say Lewis is washed, and I know you weren't, David. I'm just saying, let's wait to see what he does next year in a new regulation. I think it's going to be telling, but will Lewis ever win a world championship again? I don't think so.
Well, anything's possible with new regs.
Anything is
we
possible.
Could have completely new contenders, but it did lead me down this weird fever dream of what would Lewis look like in a Williams, which is never going to happen, but God, in an alternative universe, I would love to see that happen.
And one more thing on this, too, is it's not necessarily fair to blame Lewis because, remember, Ferrari were 8 points away from a Constructors' Championship last year. They forced McLaren into, shocker, a winner-take-all race in Abu Dhabi for the Constructors' Championship, and Lando won that race, so they won the Constructors' Championship. Everyone was thinking, all right, yes, McLaren might win the Constructors again, but Ferrari's going to be right there. They finished P4 in the Constructors. So it wasn't just Lewis. The car in itself, the team in itself, took a big step backwards, or everyone else took a step up and they just didn't, because I don't know if it's because new regs next year or whatnot, but the team as a whole took a step back this year.
I think that when you look at teams, though, and you look at with new regs around the corner, it's almost like a lame duck season for a lot of teams that aren't in title contention, and that's what you saw from Ferrari this year. All of this could change. It's the beauty of new regs.
It's going to be fun.
We have a question in the chat. Do we have anything else left in F1 topics here?
I was just going to say, testing starts in 40 days.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah, there's 3 separate testings this time around. There's testing in, I think, Spain starting January 26th, 5 days of closed-door testing, so you won't see any of that. And then in early February, you got the testing over in Bahrain. So a lot of new testing for these regs. I feel like these drivers don't get any time off. Which they don't.
Yeah, season's getting a little too long.
Yeah.
I know money.
Oh, also, Portugal coming back on the schedule in 27 and 28. They just signed a deal for that. So
let's go.
Portimao is coming back. A great track. That's all I got for F1.
Undulating track. Great track. Saw some great moments. We'll close the show out with this. Popper back in there, offering us a nice little thing to chew on here. He said, this week's get to know your host a little better question. What is the most important meat/protein on your Christmas dinner table? In my family, we can't have a Christmas dinner without roasted duck.
He lives over in England, right?
I think it's Denmark.
Denmark?
Yeah.
I would love some roasted
Am I
duck.
right?
Is my favorite.
Am I wrong?
I don't know.
Tell me if I'm wrong, Papa Popper. I thought it was Denmark.
Duck is my favorite protein. I absolutely love duck.
Nailed it. He was right. I was right. Denmark.
Denmark, awesome.
Yeah.
Denmark, love it.
Duck is delicious. Duck is like
amazing.
everything that dark meat chicken is, but better.
Yeah, it's oh my gosh, it's fatty, but then you can cook it like a little medium rare. You can get crispy. It's so freaking good. I would love some duck for Christmas. For us, Papa Popper, it is ham. My late grandfather, Kane, made an amazing ham, and he would make a kind of like a glaze for the ham using Sprite, a dark beer. Well, sometimes he just used Yingling. So Sprite, beer, maraschino
Pittsburgh.
cherry juice, a lot of brown sugar, and a lot and
Oh
you
my
would
God,
get
this-
just that wonderful, like, Christmassy flavor.
like
The
a
sugars
glob.
would caramelize on top of the fat, and he
Yeah.
knew the butcher, so he would go down to the butcher, and the butcher would set aside a nice big ham for him with a nice fat cap on top. So that was ours. Protein that we needed to have was a Christmas ham.
That sounds delicious, and I can imagine the glob of a coating on top of that just sounds amazing.
He would cut me off like pieces of the fat, and it basically turned into like burnt ends. It was amazing. It was so good.
God, now I'm getting hungry. We got to end the show soon so I can go eat. Honestly, when I was a kid, I would say it's probably like turkey or ham. It was always what my grandma did. My family's become a bit amorphous in recent years with gathering at separate times in different places. And if my sister's in charge, she likes to mix it up. Like this year, we're having steaks, but sometimes she does Italian food. And in past years, she's also done like turkey but like my grandmother on my dad's side, the place we would usually convene at, and we're going to again this year, there's always a ham, and there's always green bean casserole, and there's always like cheesy potatoes or potatoes au gratin. So, to answer your question, it could be anything, but more likely than not, ham is going to be involved one way or the other.
We are having ossobuco this year for Christmas. My mom is making ossobuco, which I didn't know what it was. It's veal shanks. So there we go. So
Try the veal. Try the veal. Tip your waiter.
Yeah, delicious.
Try the veal.
Thank you so much for asking us that, Papa Popper. It's becoming a regular segment. I like it. I like it.
I think that's it, John. I think we've done
That's it. For the absent Katie Caldwell and the present Nick Shook, I am the present Sean Barry. As always, live life in the fast lane, folks.
And happy holidays if we are not here the next week. Who knows if we will be? Until then.
See you next year.
Oh.